So, Mom, can you tell us the story of how you and Dad met?
Okay. Um, well, Dad and I went to high school together in North Plainfield High School, and we were freshmen in 1949. And then throughout high school, we finally graduated in 1953. And the only Dad, Nestor Kelly, was in my Spanish class, and they didn't have a name in Spanish for Nestor, so his name was Paco, and and we went through Spanish class together, and I sat in the front seat, and he sat at the back of the room, so we really didn't get to talk to one another too much. And when I did see Dad was at an ice cream place that was across the street from my house when I lived at 184 Dorr Street. And Dad would be playing, after school, be playing the pinball machine. And my mother would send me for a loaf of bread. And the only exchange we ever had was he would say, "Hiya, Red." And then I would say hello, and I'd get the bread and go home.
So, you both went to the same high school, and that was North Plainfield
High school.
High School. And that was, what years were you in high school?
Yeah, between 1949 and 1953 when we graduated.
So, while you were in high school, you just said hello.
Yeah, I would just say hello, and he signed my yearbook, and, we were just like friendly people together as we went through school. I really didn't interact with him much other than that.
But did you know, like, Dad's friend? Did you have similar friends
Well,
in high school?
Well, I was a part of a group of girls. A lot of them were cheerleaders, and we all hung out together, and we knew one another, but not so much. And then as the time went on, and I started, I went to business school, and then I started working. He happened to be at the fifth class reunion at the same time I was. I was working with a group of people on our class reunion, and I remember that for some reason he took me home from the fifth class reunion, and then we never really were going out until I would say, because Dad, I have to tell the story about I had become engaged to somebody from the Catholic Young Adult Club. His name was Frank Cunningham. And we had a little party at Chi-Chi's in Bound Brook. And Dad happened to come in with his girlfriend at the time and found out that it was an engagement party, came over, talked to Frank, told him what a lucky guy he was. And so that was one experience we had together. And then I was going to church one day. I had the engagement had been broken, and I was walking to my church in North Plainfield. I had to go over to Jackson Avenue, and there was somebody calling me, saying, "Lenny, Lenny," and I turned around, and it was Nestor with his girlfriend Janet, that they had been engaged. So he wanted me to meet Janet, and I didn't know why he was in North Plainfield because he lived in Warren and she lived in Bound Brook, and I couldn't figure out why they would have been in North Plainfield. But anyhow, I thought it was like fate that we met there.
Right. And then how long had you been engaged to Frank Cunningham?
Yeah, just a short period of time. If I were to guess, I don't know, 6 months maybe, something like that.
And then you decided to break the engagement?
Yeah, I think it was mutual. We just decided that wasn't the right thing at that time. I was working in New York, and I had a lot of other ideas about what I thought I would be doing with my life.
And then when Dad, you said that Dad didn't live in North Plainfield, but what was his address in Warren? Where did he live?
Yeah, he lived in Warren, at a road, that I wasn't even familiar with, at Warren. I mean, I didn't go up to that area. And he, at that time, North Plainfield High School was, had Warren, Watchung, Greenbrook, South Plainfield, North Plainfield. It was almost like a regional school because they didn't have high schools in the other area. So he would have to take a bus from Warren down to North Plainfield to go to school.
And then you would walk to school?
And I could walk all over North Plainfield. I could walk to the elementary school. I could walk to the middle school, Somerset School. And I could also walk to the high school. Yeah, so I was right in town.
So then when you saw Dad with Janet, and you saw them because you were on your way to church, and he just happened to be in North Plainfield.
Yeah.
And he introduced you to Janet.
And he introduced me to Janet, and then I was, congratulating them that they had gotten engaged and all. So then life went on. I was busy working at that time, as I said, in New York City. I went to New York probably in the late 1950s, maybe 1958, and worked at ITT. And I had a lot of friends, and I would go to the ski club in Dunellen, the Dunellen Ski Club in the Rathskeller, which was downstairs, and we would meet, I think, every Thursday night. And then I would see Nestor because he worked at Art Color on a second shift. And so he would come in like for his supper, maybe 9:30, and I would see him and talk with him, and he would, we would have conversations and all. And then in October of 1962, my father had died that year in March. I was, I had my father's car. I had a great big new Packard that my mother was letting me use because my father had passed away, and I would drive her places, and so she let me use this nice new car. And I would talk with Nestor, and he would see me there, and we'd converse. And then all of a sudden, in October, he called me, and he said he wanted me to go with him to a Halloween party. And I said, gee, Nestor, I said, if you're divorced and separated or whatever, I said, I'm really not interested. And he said, well, what about you? Did you get married? And I said, no, I said, we broke the engagement. And he said, come with me. I want you to come with me. He said, I've got a friend, Herbie and Millicent, and I want you to come with me to the Halloween party. So I said, okay. I said, okay, I'll go with you. And so I dressed as a flapper. I had an authentic pink flapper dress with beads and a headdress and everything that was in my aunt's hope chest. And he came as a caveman. And we went to a party, and we had a wonderful time. We got along really well. And then he said to me, he said, I really want you to meet my mother. I want you to come and meet my mother. And my sister's in college, and I want you to come and meet my sister. And I want to take you to a restaurant in New York that I like. So obviously we were both attracted to one another. And then we started going out, and it was Christmas time, and he came over and spent time with me and my family at the holidays. And we went kept going out, I guess, until it was May. We went skiing together and had a wonderful time. And then in May, he asked me to marry him. And he used to tell the story before that. He'd say, "I'm not asking you, but I want to know what you would say if I did ask you." He was kind of really hesitant. So finally, I got this beautiful engagement ring. And it happened that my mother was away. My mother had gone to Chicago to visit Velia. And my mother was all upset because she said, how come she didn't know that I was going to get engaged? And then we wanted to get married right away. So we were hoping to get married in August. But then Dad said that, it was going to be too hot in August. So we ended up planning to get married in October, and we got married on October the 19th of 1963, and it was one of the most beautiful sunny days. We had a wonderful time, a wonderful wedding at the Redwood Inn in Bridgewater, New Jersey, and then we took all the bridal party out to dinner at the airport. I don't know if it was Idlewild or what, but
What do they call that today? Idlewild.
At JFK. Yeah. There was LaGuardia and also Idlewild, and we were flying for our honeymoon. We went to Jamaica, so I wanted everybody in the wedding party to be there, kind of to wish us well, and then we flew the next morning to Jamaica, and I had bought a wool suit, a beautiful pink wool suit, and had been all dressed up. And then when we got to Jamaica, it was like 80-some degrees, and I was like super hot in this pink suit. Fortunately, I had a blouse underneath, but we had a wonderful, wonderful honeymoon in Jamaica. It was so beautiful.
So you think it was fate that you and Dad?
I do. I think the way all of these events came about, him meeting me at my engagement party, and then him being someplace that he wouldn't normally be in North Plainfield to meet up with me. To tell me that he was engaged, and just all the events that came about, and me meeting him at the Denellen Hotel. I think he thought I had a lot of money because I had a beautiful Packard. I had my father's beautiful Packard, which was practically brand new, and we just started going out and having a wonderful time and being together and fell in love. So, and then this is the picture of us on our wedding day, which was another beautiful event. And then when we came back, I was still working in New York, and he was working at Art Color, and I had long days. I had to leave early from North Plainfield. I would commute to New York City, and then he would meet me at the bus, and we would usually go to my mother's for dinner. And then before long, I became pregnant with Kevin, my firstborn son, and after a while, I decided that the commute was too long for me. It was the year of the New York World's Fair, 1964, and there was a lot of traffic and people and visitors going in and out of the city. So I decided to stay home, and I stayed home at my mother's house. We had been in an apartment. I had set up an apartment very beautifully in North Plainfield, close by, at 123 Sycamore Avenue. and we lived in a building, a house that had like 3 or 4 apartments. And then my sister Betty met someone at my wedding in October, and by January, they had gotten married and then had to move to Texas because her husband was studying to be a pilot with Braniff. And so Nestor and I went back to my mother's house up 184 Dorr Street, and we stayed with her because she wasn't feeling well. And then we had Kevin, and Kevin was born in September of 1964. And we stayed in that house with my mother until February, the day before my birthday. In February of 1965, we moved to 3 Blossom Drive, where we settled and where I still am living.
And then, Mom, maybe you can tell us a little bit about Janet's family, because Aunt Dolores became my godmother, and you kept in touch with their family.
Yeah, when we were going out and as a couple, Nestor was very friendly with the Janone family, which was Janet's name, and so we would go and visit her sister, Dolores Neal, who had 2 children, and Nestor was the godfather for Cindy, for her daughter. And then eventually, when I had 3 children, Melanie being the 3rd and last child, one of Janet Janone's sisters, Dolores, was the godmother for Melanie.
And that you've kept in touch with them all these years.
Yeah, I'm still in touch with Dolores Neal. And we were very friendly with the father and mother, used to go visit at their house. And
used to call Kevin like sand in the shoes.
Yeah, and Kevin was so heavy. The father, Mr. Janone, Romeo Janone, used to call Kevin sand in the shoes. So they were like very, very good friends. They loved Nestor, and we always remained good friends with them, even though his daughter didn't marry Nestor.
Yeah. And then, is there anything else that you wanted to add about meeting Dad or anything when you met Dad? How about Aunt Lorraine? Did you want to say anything about
he would,
Dad's sister?
Lorraine was at college at Montclair at the time that we were going out, and Dad used to, have to either pick her up or drive her there, and he would come over, and we would be like couples with Lorraine and her, what was her boyfriend at the time, Jim McGovern, and Nestor would take Jim to the Giant games with him, and so we were friendly with Lorraine and Jim as a young couple.
And then how about, do you want to say something about Dad's mom, about my grandmother?
Yeah. And then Nestor's father had died when Nestor was young. I don't know if he was like 19, maybe 19, 20. And Lorraine was 5 years younger. So she was probably 14 or 15. And then his mother met the milkman. The milkman used to come and talk with his father before he died of cancer. Used to sit and talk with him. And then Mom Salvedo eventually married Danny Salvedo. And they had another family of stepchildren, Kenny Salvedo, Susie Salvedo, and Donna Salvedo, who lived at the house on Ryman Road. That's where Dad was living.
Right.
That's where Dad was living before he got married, on Ryman Road. And we would be over there, and they would have chickens and ducks and a great big German shepherd that would bark every time that I would go. It's like a little farm area that they had there. That's where we would visit and be together.
And then do you want to talk a little bit about Dad and just his personality, like when he was a young person?
Yeah, I mean, Dad was always, he was always such a good guy, and he remembered everybody's birthday, and he always used to come and with a beautiful card or something, and to remember people's birthday, my mother's birthday, my sister's birthday, and he was always a really good guy, and he used to tell me that if anybody ever came to see me, he was going to punch whoever it was out. Yeah.
And Dad liked holidays.
Oh, he loved holidays, and he loved to fix and cut grass and fix my mother's house up. It never looked as nice. All the years they were there, it never looked as neat and clean as when he stayed there, and he would cut the grass and do the flowers and fix the place up for my mother. And the same thing he did when we moved to Blossom Drive. He was always cutting the grass and being outside and taking the weeds out and painting the house and painting the inside of the house. And yeah, I think he loved being there. So.
Well, that was really nice, Mom. Thank you for
Yeah.
the story. It is remarkable that two people who had been engaged to be married to other people ended up together.
Yeah.
And what a long marriage. How long were you married?
Yeah, we were married 56 years. Nestor passed away October the 19th of 2019. And we had a very, very wonderful marriage and 3 beautiful children.
November.
And then 5 beautiful granddaughters. So
Yeah, I think Dad passed away November 19th.
November.
19th.
Is that
Yeah.
what I said? November.
October. It's okay.
No, it was
November.
November 19th.
Yeah.
It was 1 month after our 56th wedding anniversary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's a wonderful story, Mom. I love it. I love
Yeah.
you.
I love you too. And it was wonderful that we were able to get together and to have such a happy marriage. So I was very fortunate. A lot of wonderful memories.
So many. Thanks, Mom. We're going to do more.
Okay.
Love you.
Love you.